Hey everyone, I'm NornQueenAlexis and welcome back to the Eye of Terra. In today's video, we are going to be discussing Chaos Space Marines. In our Beginner's Guide series, have you been thinking of the Black Legion? Does the call of the Thousand Suns ring out to you? Are you an edgy little emo? Then you like the Night Lords. I'm sorry, I had to make the joke. Anyway guys, welcome to the Realm of Chaos. Today we are talking about Chaos Space Marines. You know, it's actually rather funny that they don't have like Adeptus Traitoris, which I think would be really cool. Or Astartes Traitoris. Traitoris Astartes. There we go. Traitoris Astartes. That's what their codex should be called. I'm sorry. I think that's cool. Anyway. Today we are going to be talking about their lore, what tactics they have, and a starter guide to their army, which is under about $100 USD. I don't know any other system, so I do apologize. We are just doing USD. Now, let's get into the Chaos Space Marines lore. And this is a brief overview of their lore. So, let's try to do this as quickly as possible. There was an emperor. He's essentially God. He had 21 sons. The 21 sons hate each other. They split off into good guys, bad guys. It really depends where you want to take your stand on which ones are good and which ones are bad. Anyway, these guys had, the traitor sons all had their own legions taken from their genetic material, put into children to make them into super soldiers. These super soldiers are the same as the regular Astartes, but with some chaotic mutations. As in, they have all of the abilities of the normal Astartes, plus spiky bits, which make them cooler. And everybody knows black spikes and top knots. Top knots? Why do they have top knots? Alright, scratch that last one. But that makes them cooler. And metal. And metal is awesome. So, that being said, let's dive right into this. Chaos Space Marines. After the Horus Heresy, the traitor legions fled into the Eye of Terra. Conveniently, every single one of them decided to go directly to the Eye of Terra and not pass go, not collect the $200, and just go right there. Anyway, while in the Eye of Terra, they decided to break up into their own little war bands, the biggest of which becoming the Black Legion. Led by Abaddon the Despoiler himself. Insert meme here. I don't want to hear it. It is old. It is a bad meme. Stop it. Anyway, Abaddon himself leads the Black Legion. You have Armin of the Thousand Sons. You have, who do I say is in charge of the Emperor's children? I guess Fabius Bile? Yeah, let's go Fabius Bile of the Emperor's children. And you have Karn the Betrayer of the World Eaters. And who are the other Chaos Champions? Am I forgetting one? It's probably not important. Anyway, these Chaos Champions managed to keep the remnants of their legions together while forming the Black Legion under Abaddon's command. Abaddon launched the 13th Black Crusades, most of which were successful, except for like 3 that aren't really talked about. We don't know what happened there. Anyway, while this was all happening, some of the Chaos Legions decided to make pacts with their dark gods in order to gain gifts. The Chaos Space Marines wished to topple the Imperium and take down the false Emperor as they have deemed him, and wish to topple everything that the Imperium stands for, while bringing glory in the name of their dark gods. And let's just face it, that's cool. That's metal. The Chaos Space Marines have a plethora of different weapons and war gear compared to the Space Marine counterparts. For instance, while they may not have drop pods and they may not have land speeders or grav guns or storm shields, why don't they have these things? I'm still not sure, but they don't. They do get cooler things like Mauler Fiends, Hell Drakes, the Defiler, Lord Executioner, Lord Discordant, and some other funky things. The Chaos Space Marines are broken up, similar to that of the regular Space Marines, into several war bands. These war bands wage war with themselves, with each other, with planets, with Xenos, with everything in sight, because it's 40k and there was only war, because no one ever thought to talk to each other and try to solve their problems diplomatically. Except for Abaddon. He brought them all together and decided that he hates the Imperium. So he does war as well, because war. In this series, we're going to talk about how to start a... Well, since this is the generic Chaos Space Marines, we're just going to talk about the Black Legion for the most part. This way, it's kind of like the Ultramarines, where it covers all the other aspects of the different legions, but the Death Guard and the Thousand Sons will get their own special video because, well, they have their own unique codex. Eventually, I hope to be doing an Emperor's Children one, as well as a World Eaters one. But for now, sucks to suck. Anyway, the Black Legion. See, I want to go right to the best one. The best one right there is the Emperor's Children. The Emperor's Children are my favorite. Okay, they're close to my favorite. Black Legion is my favorite. Anyway, let's start with the Black Legion. The Black Legion is a mid-range, close-range, and long-range army depending on how you want to build it. For instance, if you want to build a close-range army, you can have dedicated units to doing so. If you want to build long-range, you have Havocs, Chosen, Obliterators. There is a plethora of options similar to that of regular Space Marines. They have the tactical diversity of them with some lacking departments, but not too much. Like their fast attack is a little bit meh. But I digress. If you want to build a close combat army, they can excel at it. If you want to build a mid-range army, they excel at it. If you want to build a long-range army, they excel at it. Getting into it and how that they would be doing this is based on their characters and how you build the army around them. As always, don't get Terminators because Terminators are terrible. They are the worst thing in this edition. Don't buy Terminators. And Chaos Space Marines are actually surprisingly good and worth buying. I don't suggest it as your first purchase, but they are there. That being said, you cannot go wrong with some cultists in your army, as well as grabbing some of the cooler characters for your army. Though you don't need these guys right away, they are really good to build your army around. For instance, with Abaddon, you want to build a close-range Demon Circus army. He's really good rocking with a couple of Demon Princes by his side and running train into the battlefield, using the demons to give him psychic powers like warp time to get him up the board as quickly as possible to smash the front line. And this guy is anti-everything. Let me just put it that way. He's anti-everything. Nothing stands in Abaddon's way and lives for long. Except maybe Gilliman, and the Living Saint, and a Land Raider, and a Knight, and anything that's really powerful. Okay, most things don't stand in the way of Abaddon, but I digress. If you were going to build an army based around the Lord Discordant, you want to build a Dark Mechanicus-focused army, which includes a lot of war engines. This is a more thematic army versus a rather effective army, but if Go-Go Bots are your thing, or Dinozords, or whatever you want to call these guys, are your thing, the Lord Discordant is the way to go, and I highly suggest him for a very amusing, very Dark Mechanicus-style army. If demons are your thing, and summoning is your thing, and you are playing this edition badly, you can bring a Dark Apostle for summoning, but his better role is being that of a chaplain. Similar to the chaplain of the Space Marines, he has litanies that can boost your army up dramatically, but unlike the chaplain, he's actually very useful and almost a must-have, because he can alter the number that you roll on the die to get your litanies, with his two little duders that are with him. Now, funny thing is, you don't actually need to buy this guy. You can craft your own out of the box set for your Chaos Space Marines. So keep that in mind. But if you want a cool looking model that has a book that's literally leaking and on fire, which, let's face it, that's metal, then I would highly suggest getting him. But even with the 2 guys next to him, you can build this guy very simply out of the Chaos Space Marine box, as well as just buying 2 cultists and gluing a book to one. And having the other guy swing something. If you like a close combat army that is very devastating, the Lord Executioner might be your way to go. But again, another character that you don't need to buy because you can literally make him out of the Chaos Space Marine box. If it's not already obvious, you can make a lot of characters out of your Chaos Space Marine box, plus some kit bashing. You can make this dude, this guy, very simply out of the box itself. You can also make this guy out of the Raptor box if you just so happen to have a spear laying around. Who doesn't have a spear laying around? Let's face it. Now, to build a long-range army, you go with some Havocs, you give them the Mark of Slaanesh, you give them Endless Cacophony, you blow away your opponent as quickly as possible. You could do the same with Obliterators. Now you'll notice that Obliterators aren't here, but I guarantee you that they exist. Actually, there's Mutilators. Do Obliterators still have models here? No, not yet. That's silly. If you want a rapid force moving across the battlefield, you want to bring some demons, some chaos spawn are always fun, and some chaos bikers are actually surprisingly good. I would actually put them on par with the normal marine bikers with the White Scars chapter tactic because they're surprisingly efficient models. If you need to get your models across the battlefield very quick and you want to do some Khorne berserkers, you want to rush in and murder something, you get yourself a rhino filled with berserkers, you give them chain swords and chain axes, they each get 2 attacks apiece, they get a +1 for the shock assault, they get +1 for being Khorne, they get a ton of attacks on the charge, so if you want to build a close range army, you get yourself 2 demon princes, Abaddon, and a bunch of berserkers, and you charge across that battlefield as quickly as possible. You want to do long range, Devastators, Obliterators, Noise Marines, and you blow away your opponent at range. You want to do a mid-range army? Well, you could. It's not as effective. It's probably the worst way to run Chaos Space Marines, in my opinion, because who doesn't like glorious close combat, or who doesn't like the satisfaction of vaporizing your enemies at that perfect range and just listening to the sweet, sweet music of heads exploding? Sorry, my inner Slaanesh kid slipped out a little bit. I apologize about that. I will keep that trapped right up inside me. I am a noble and a loyal imperial subject. None of this chaos can ever influence me at all. Oh, look at how cute the Forge Fiend is. Anyway. Moving on. Let's go with a buy guide. If you can split Shadow Spear with somebody, you split Shadow Spear with somebody. It's pretty obvious. The Shadow Spear box set contains easy-to-build models and a ton of them, including 2 Obliterators, a Greater Possessed, a bunch of Chaos Space Marines, a Dark Apostle. I'm trying to remember all of these names, so I apologize if I get them wrong. An adorable spider. Like, this thing I would keep as a pet in my house. Like, I want one of these things because they are just so cute. Like, look at it. Oh, and it's 2 Greater Possessed. 2 Greater Possessed. So if you can manage to get this box, get this box. Let's just say you can't get it, though. On the off chance that you just can't get it, okay? So what should you buy as your first couple of purchases for this army? Well, you kind of want to buy Chaos Space Marines. 10 of them. Split them up into 2 squads of 5. And then, unfortunately, there is no cheaper way of doing this, but I would suggest Havocs. This way, you get a mix of good heavy weapons and some regular weapons. You don't get an HQ, unfortunately, but if you do want to run them as 1 squad of 5 with a heavy weapon, 1 squad of 5 with a heavy weapon, you will end up with 5 extra dudes that you can do whatever with, or, if you want to do it that way, or you can go down and you can buy yourself a bunch of cultists. Cultists are really good, and you can actually make them out of pretty much any box set that exists that are Imperial Guard, Genestealer cultists, or any of the human-based characters. For instance, the Blackstone Fortress guys work perfect as cultists if you can get them. Do 3 units of cultists at 10 each. That's, if you were to buy them this way, that's pretty expensive. That's $60, but it is kind of worth it. And then with the extra money, go ahead and buy yourself some Havocs because you will need them. And then get yourself a couple of Chaos Marine squads to bulk out your troop choices, as well as getting all of the characters that you can build from the Chaos Space Marine box set. Then from there, work your way up to the rest of the army, filling out gaps that you need. But if you can get it, my number one suggestion is Shadow Spear. Split it with somebody. You'll love yourself forever. If you can't split it, 2 boxes of Chaos Space Marines, or 1 box of Chaos Space Marines, 1 box of Chaos Havocs. Or if you want to go with infantry first, your troop choice first, you can go with your cultists and get them out of the way. Or if you want to do a Khorne army, which is also a lot of fun, you could do 2 boxes of Khorne Berserkers. That's 20 Berserkers. And then from there, you have 20 extra dollars. You can go ahead and buy yourself some Fallen for leaders. This will give you some cool looking and different looking Chaos Space Marines. And yes, these are the Dark Angels. They are the Fallen. They are the evil versions of the Dark Angels. Or, you can actually buy Karn the Betrayer. You can actually make Karn the Betrayer very easily out of your Khorne Berserker box. So keep that in mind as well. What other ways should you look this up? If you want to do Plague Marines, you can, but they're better in their own army. You kind of want to do Noise Marines, Khorne Berserkers, and regular Chaos Space Marines for a Black Legion army, and the other guys like the Plague Marines and the Thousand Sons are better off in their own army. They're simply better in their own army. You could get a Demon Prince as one of your first purchases. Oh, that is. Okay, I changed my mind. Get yourself Chaos Space Marines, get yourself a Demon Prince. Boom. $101. Split them up into 2 5-man squads. You got yourself a patrol detachment. There you go. Perfect startup for your Chaos Space Marine army. You get yourself a big giant demon, some spooky boys, and you run right in there using the Black Legion traits, or you run in there using one of the other traits from the Chaos Space Marine Codex. Keep in mind there are 2 Chaos Space Marine Codexes. This edition, you want to make sure you get the one that actually has the update in it. Please make sure of that, and you'll love yourself forever. Now, with that all said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, I want to read them, so comment in the comment section down below. While you're down there, please look at all the links in the description down below. There you can follow me on all sorts of social media, as well as supporting me on Patreon. If you do, I love you forever, and you are awesome. Anyway, it keeps the lights on, it keeps my belly fed, and it keeps me paying rent. And as you know, rent here in the Warp is pretty expensive. Beachfront property on the Realm of Souls, it's pretty expensive. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. As always, I'm NornQueenAlexis. I love you guys. Bye.